Yeah, alive. Hi guys. That's my catch prize, you know.
Mm-hmm. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Iran is preparing to strike Israel from Iraqi
Hi Dan. Hi
territory
Phil.
within days. Also, a new report
Gee, Phil, you can hit the low notes.
is
You sent me a
indicating
song,
that
son.
Benjamin Netanyahu
Real
is
baritone
signaling
voice.
that Tehran's nuclear program could be the next target as Iran is planning its future attack. We've got all this and much more in tonight's special broadcast. Let's go.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's going on, guys? It is Saturday, November the 2nd. We want to welcome you to tonight's broadcast. This is a special report. We've got a lot of breaking news to cover tonight. We want to get right into that. Before we do that, can you help us out and get this word out? Help us get this word out there on the algorithms by simply just smashing that like button. And again, for your benefit, guys, why don't you go ahead and just hit that bell notification. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That will help you out as well as help us out as well. All right, according to this, the latest intelligence, Iran is preparing to strike Israel, and they will carry it out from Iraqi territory. This, again, new reports say that this could be within days. Again, U.S. intelligence is indicating, along with others, that Iran is preparing to strike Israel again, but this time they're going to strike from Iraqi territory. No doubt the reason why they are likely going to shoot
They strike from Iraq territory. That's interesting.
this area to carry out this attack is because Iran, their defense systems was crippled in the last retaliatory strike by Israel. We covered this last week in an update where Israel intelligence and American intelligence indicated that many of Iran's defense systems was taken out by this recent retaliatory strike from Israel. But this latest report indicates that this attack again could possibly take place before U.S. presidential election on November 5th. Again, as of the recording of this, we are 3 days from Tuesday, November 5th, which again will be the presidential election. So, guys, let me hear about it in the chat. Let me know what you think. Will Iran carry out this threat? And according to U.S. intelligence and other reports, carrying this attack out from Iraq or a territory in Iraq, will this happen? And if it does, when will it happen? Will it be?
Have they got the leadership to pull it off? Because Hezbollah all got blown up with the walkie-talkies and pages. All the leadership's gone. So can they strike back at all?
Sunday. Will it be tomorrow on Sunday, November 3rd? Will it be Monday, a day 24 hours before the presidential election? Or could this attack take place on the day of elections? Now, according to more details of this report, the attack is expected to be carried out from Iraq using, quote, a large number of drones and ballistic missiles. Again, this is a report from Axios. The report said that carrying out the attack through pro-Iran militias in Iraq could be an attempt by Tehran to, quote, avoid another Israeli attack against strategic targets in Iran. Israel and Iran have engaged again in a series of tit-for-tat military strikes, part of broader Middle East warfare set off by fighting in Gaza. And just to get you up to speed, guys, Israeli military aircraft struck missile factories and other sites near Tehran and in western Iran in retaliation for Tehran's October the 1st barrage of more than 200 missiles against Israel. This past week on Thursday, An influential cleric in Iran
Johnny, good to see
quote,
ya.
a harsh and regretful response. Let me read this. The recent action of the Zionist regime in attacking parts of our country was a desperate move, and the Islamic Republic
If you turn your clocks back tonight, does that make me go an hour earlier or an hour later? I can never work it out.
of Iran will give it a quote harsh and regretful response. This was according to again a influential cleric in Iran, who is a senior aide to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and this was also quoted by a news agency that's a local.
That's good news, Di.
Affiliate there in Iran. He went even further, the head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is a branch of Iran's military, warned, quote, of an unimaginable response to Israel. Quote, Israel has reached the stage of collapse, and these days it acts blindly and without abating to any rules. It commits every crime. And of course, all of this has put Israel on a high level of readiness for such an attack. According to the Times of Israel, Israel is at a high level of readiness as it awaits a potential response.
It's doing the glaring, guys. Hang on.
Airstrikes. Iranian leaders again have been continuing to threat to carry out these retaliatory strikes. And a military source tells CNN that Israel strikes created a dilemma for Tehran since it diminished its capability to attack and defend against an Israeli response. Again, and this is why they're choosing to move their base in which they carry out an attack outside of Iran. Now, in another interesting report, this is according to Fox News, Benjamin Netanyahu is signaling that Tehran's nuclear program could indeed be the next target. Now, if you remember, Benjamin Netanyahu was told by the Biden administration, White House officials, he was asked to not target Iran's nuclear facility, nor take out their oil refineries or their energy sectors. And as of so far, Benjamin Netanyahu has complied with this, but the rules of engagement may be changing, guys. As again, Benjamin Netanyahu is warning that if Iran indeed does carry out a retaliatory attack, in which, remember, the Israeli Defense Forces warned, do not respond, or there will be deeper and more harsh judgment, or I shouldn't say judgment, but response, a deeper and more harsh response. I want to read this quote. The supreme objective that I have set for the IDF, this is according to Benjamin Netanyahu, by the way, and the security services, is to prevent Iran from attaining nuclear weapons. Again, Netanyahu made this statement while speaking at a course graduation ceremony for soldiers in the Israel Defense Forces. Halting the nuclear program has been and remains our, quote, chief concern. We have not taken, and we will not take our eyes off of this objective. Again, he's referring to halting the nuclear program. Netanyahu suggesting that Israel could next target Iranian nuclear facilities is in line with other comments made by the IDF that vowed to, quote, escalate its attack capabilities and target.
Sean, all these new electric motors and that, their batteries blow up. They just blow up, and you can't put them out. They cause a huge fire wherever they blow up if you overcharge them.
Hit list should Iran follow through with another attack on the Jewish state. Again, this comes as the U.S., Israel's chief ally in its fight against Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran, has repeatedly warned Jerusalem against striking Iran's energy infrastructure, in particular its, quote, nuclear and oil facilities, out of concern it could prompt an, quote, outright regional war. Well, where's these guys been? I mean, I pretty much consider this a regional war. It's already on 7 fronts. I mean, when does it reach a threshold, or cross a threshold rather, to begin to determine that this is a regional war? Is it 10 fronts, 12 fronts, 15 fronts? I'm just asking. Let me know your thoughts as well, guys. Do you think that this is already a regional war? Is this, would we consider this a Mideast war at this point?
Yeah, it's still Mideast at the moment, but now North Korea's in Ukraine.
again, I'd love to
Did you
hear
know
your
that?
comments. And again, as always, guys,
10,000
hit that
miles.
like button, help us out. We always want to make a goal that we would love to get is at least half the amount of likes that we do as views on this report. So again, you can help us out hitting that like button, and this is going to help push our material out there. Again, reports this week suggest that Iran could be waiting until after the U.S. presidential election next week, though other reports have stated that Tehran's retaliatory strike could come at any time.
Well, look
So
how many
the
nuclear
world is holding its
installations
breath
are.
at this point. There's conflicting reports. Some say it's going to happen before the U.S. elections. Some say it's going to happen after. But I believe it's suffice to say, again, as the recording of this is November 2nd, 2024. I believe within the next 7 days, that pushes us out beyond November 5th, about 2 days after that, or farther, about 4 days actually, beyond November 5th, the election. So all has to wonder, is this coming this weekend, or will this happen literally during the election? This is going to be very interesting. Again, I told you guys we got a lot to cover tonight, and we're only in the Middle East. We haven't even gotten to Europe yet. And then if you're looking on your screen, these are all possible targets in Iran for nuclear installations. So all these little nuclear emblems all over here, these would all be prime targets in the event that Israel was to carry out a strike. These would all be targets. So this thing could get real messy real quick. All right, and then another report, Israeli forces capture senior Hezbollah operative in North Lebanon. Again, according to this report, scroll down here a little bit. Israeli naval forces captured a senior Hezbollah operative in North Lebanon, an Israeli military official said on Saturday as the conflict between the Iran-backed group and Israel showed few signs of easing. Meanwhile, the Israeli Defense Forces have discovered Hamas underground weapons manufacturing facility in central Gaza.
Wow.
According to this report, the terrorist-operated facility contained workshops and hundreds of supplies for producing rocket shells and grenades before it was destroyed by engineering troops, according to the Israeli Defense Forces. Then in another disturbing headline, look at this, guys, Russia and Iran treaty. A Russia and Iran treaty, again, this is straight out of Ezekiel 38:39, includes military pact. I mean, this is straight, you want to talk about Bible prophecy, this is, again, yet more stepping stones leading to the fulfillment of this. Let me read this again. Russia and Iran treaty includes military pact that threatens Israel. Wow. Report indicates that the comprehensive treaty between Iran and Russia will include military cooperation and may pose a threat to Israel. Again, this was from Russian Foreign Minister who stated on this past Thursday that the treaty on a comprehensive strategic partnership between Russia and Iran that is being prepared will become a serious factor in strengthening Russian and Iranian relations. The
world's getting crazy, isn't it, Di?
Agreement, according to Lavrov, is expected to be signed in the near future. Russia has said it expects Iran's president to visit Moscow in the coming months. Quote, it will confirm the parties' desire for closer cooperation in the field of defense and interaction in the interest of peace and security at the regional and global levels. And guys, that is huge news right there. Look at all the prophetic implications of all this. You've got Russia and Iran forming a military pact that threatens Israel. And then you've got the president, you've got the foreign minister of Russia, who is stating that this will confirm the parties' desire for closer cooperation in the field of defense and interaction in the interest of, and look at this term, peace and security at the regional of global levels. Now remember, keep in mind, guys, when Ezekiel 38 and 39 takes place, it is during a false sense of peace. It is in a time of a false sense of peace and security for the nation of Israel. Something has to happen in order for Israel to lower their guard. Because it says plainly in Ezekiel 38 that this war of Gog and Magog will come at a time when Israel has lowered their fences. They'll not be dwelling in walled cities without bars, and they'll be in a place of peace and security. Let me read on here. Russia is seeking to consolidate its alliances with other anti-Western authoritarian countries such as Iran and North Korea. Look at these alliances that are forming. Again, this is World War III stuff, guys. Russia seeking alliances with anti-Western authoritarian countries. Who is it? Persia, North Korea. You can throw China in this. This is unbelievable. Russia's rhetoric against Israel has heated up since October 7th with Lavrov, again, the Russian foreign minister, and Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Look at this, accusing the Jewish state of genocide in its war in Gaza. So you ever wonder how you get to Ezekiel 38, and you wonder how in the world is Russia involved with this collaboration or this alliance of Arab nations that's coming in, that God puts hooks in their jaws? Well, here's a preview. It's all of this is setting the stage, guys. I don't care what anybody says. I believe this is 100%. It's setting the stage for the big show. It's setting the stage for the main attraction, the big event that's coming. So you got all this. Let's stop real quick and do a recap here. So the Middle East is heating up. Now the world is holding its breath to see if and when Iran will respond, and how they're going to respond, and where they're going to respond from, and who is going to join forces with them to respond against Israel. And again, we can pull up Psalm 83, and Psalms chapter 83 talks about an Islamic federation of nations that will have the same attempt and the same motive, which again to annihilate the nation of Israel. That's in the book of Psalm chapter 83. So again, we see how all this is leading up to this stuff to be fulfilled. Now I want to shift gears. I'm going to take you, and we're going to get you up to par with Europe again. As we, before we do that, guys, again, if you've not downloaded a free app, I want to encourage you to do this. If you love these kind of updates, these breaking news updates, information, if you love information, revelation, equipping, all of the above, please download our free app. This is how you keep up with our ministry. Download it today. It's available on Apple and Android devices. Just download it from the store. Hit yes to push notifications, and
Diane, that second link says page not found.
You're going to be good to go and squared away. And again, guys, let us know your comments. We always love your feedback in the chat and on Rumble and on YouTube. Let us know your thoughts on this situation in the Middle East. Again, I'd love to hear, do you believe that Iran will indeed carry out this threat, and will they strike Israel? And watch this, will Netanyahu respond, and will the harsher retaliation of this and the response of this will he ignore Biden and the White House's demands of not striking these key locations, again, the nuclear facilities and the oil refineries? Or will Netanyahu do what's best for his nation, ignore those warnings, and go for the head of the serpent? Again, hit yes or no in the chat. And again, don't forget, guys, help us out. Hit that like button. Now let's shift gears, and I want to take you to Europe. We're going to go over to Europe. Look at this headline, guys.
You're the expert at links,
This is from Newsweek. Europeans told to stockpile food in case of war with Russia. Again, this headline.
So you're already doing that. We're stockpiling food, and we don't have to be told it.
Europeans told to stockpile food in case of war with Russia. And the report said that, quote, people in the European Union should stockpile emergency supplies in the event of war breaking out or another major emergency, according to a new report that has been advised. The report on Europe's civilian and military preparedness, published on Wednesday, was written by former Finnish president in his capacity as special advisor to the president of the European Commission. The report notes that the EU was, quote, not prepared for either the pandemic or Russia's aggression against Ukraine, and that it needs to, quote, move from reaction to proactive preparedness. As part of this strategy, the EU should advise households to be, quote, prepared to be self-sufficient for a minimum of 72 hours in the event of an emergency. Wow, listen to this warning, guys. It advises member states to provide its citizens with guidelines on stockpiling, evacuations, and how to, quote, access emergencies.
Didn't they get one of their CEOs for SA trafficking?
Services, among other things. A survey cited in a report outlines various essential supplies for households to have in the event of an emergency, including stockpiles of food, drinks, and medicine, a flashlight, and battery-powered radio. Guys, what about us in America? What about you guys that live outside of America? Do you have these essentials? Are you ready? Are you prepared for such an event? Do you have a stockpile of food, drinks, medicine, flashlights, and battery-powered radio? Hit again. Let us know. Hit yes in the chat, or hit no. And if you hit no, I would advise get you a checklist, and at all possible, get prepared as much as possible. The advice aims to prepare EU citizens for emergencies ranging from another pandemic. Look at that. To extreme weather or armed aggression. Those three things. Look at that. How about that for a trifecta? The main three things that they pointed out that Europeans should be prepared for is another pandemic, which they've been warning about this. How long they've been warning about this, guys? The WEF has been warning about this. Bill Gates has been warning about this. Other world leaders, organizations, the elites, they've all been saying it's not a matter of if, but when. We have something that comes, they've been talking about disease X forever. And here now they're telling citizens of Europe, you need to be prepared with all of these resources for either another pandemic and or extreme weather. What does that even mean? Extreme weather. Are we talking about what we saw in here in the U.S., what happened through the Appalachians all the way up into into Asheville and North Carolina and parts of Tennessee and parts of Georgia? Are they talking about what happened in Florida? What about in Spain? Have you guys seen what happened? What's been happening in Spain? And we're not going to cover that today, but we may do a report on that coming up next week. They're seeing extreme flooding, just like we saw in the United States. So this could be extreme weather. What about solar flares, CMEs? We've had records this year with these extreme events, these solar flares. That's caused these auroras like we've seen. That's broke records. And then it says, or quote, armed aggression. Now, and please don't listen to this and think, well, that's in Europe. You know, we as Americans, we can let our guard down. We can sleep at ease. We can rest at ease. We don't have anything to be concerned about. Well, guys, I'm concerned as a watchman. I'm very concerned, and the reason why I'm very concerned is because I have seen the direction that our nation has been in for many years now, in complete defiance against God. When a nation walks in defiance of God, what it does is it causes the hand of God's blessing and provision to be lifted off of a nation, and thus it opens it up for all kinds of bad things. Again, we've talked about this extensively in other podcasts. Leviticus 26, Deuteronomy 28, amongst many things that it talks about, it opens the door when God's blessing and favor and protection is lifted off a nation through its defiance, through its rebellion.
The Russians are using a lot of drones against Ukraine. They're really clever at it.
Through abominations and the rejection of the one true God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When that happens, it opens the doors, again, among many things, such as mass confusion. Read it, it's in there, Leviticus 26, Deuteronomy 28. Tell me, as a nation, we are not, as a society, completely confused. Nobody knows what gender they are. Nobody knows what they identify as, or who they are, or who they belong to, or what they're doing. And they don't know heads from tails and up and down. They don't know where they're going. They don't know their purpose. Mass confusion. We're talking about, God says, I will raise up a nation whom you have not known, that will speak a language that you can't understand, and they will invade you. And you will no longer be the head, but you'll be the tail. You will borrow and not lend. You will be brought into captivity. Your sons and daughters will go into captivity. He talks about boils and diseases and pestilences and famines and droughts and disasters shall go to and fro. It's all there. So this report, guys, is very alarming in light of the condition that all of these nations are in right now. And it's not just America, but when I see across the globe, across the world, nations are turning from the one true God. And then we wonder why disaster is going from coast to coast, from nation to nation. Just like, what was it? Jeremiah talked about this. Quote, while the report does not cite Russian aggression as the only possible threat, it cites it as a major one. I'm going to read on. We do not have a clear plan on what the EU will do in the event of armed aggression against a member state. The threat of war posed by Russia to European security forces forces us to address this as a, quote, centerpiece of our preparedness, without undermining the work to prepare for other major threats. Again, one has to wonder what other major threats they're talking about. All right, moving on. Look at this headline. The Pentagon believes that Ukraine will have enough soldiers for war for a maximum of another year.
Yeah,
And then this new
that.
report as well says the United States is indicating that around 8,000 troops from North Korea are now stationed in Russia's Kursk region. The report indicates that there is an estimation of total of 10,000 North Korean troops that are in Russia, and Seoul and its allies said that the number has increased to 11,000, while Ukraine has put the figure higher at up to 12,000. And remember, guys, there are some U.S. officials that made some very alarming statements, and they warned North Korea that if they get engaged in this war, that they are fair game, and that many of them will come back in body bags. In fact, according to this report from the U.S. Sun, Ukraine has already wiped out 40 elite North Korean soldiers days after they joined Putin's forces. Meanwhile, Zelensky warns North Korea that Russia alliance could spell trouble for Asia. China's silence is striking. According to this report, Ukrainian President Zelensky is sounding the alarm that the recent deployment of North Korean troops in Russia not only spells trouble for Ukraine, but also draws into question the stability and security of nations in Asia that are allied with the West. Quote, North Korea's actions are random. Again, this was from Zelensky in a frank interview with South Korea's public broadcasting network. Quote, they have strategic goals. Their actions are consequential, and they want Russia's support in return. He went on and he added in comments also posted to his social media account on X. Zelensky's warning coincided with an announcement by U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, who also held joint press conference with their South Korean counterparts to confirm, again, the number of soldiers, which is 10,000 North Korean soldiers deployed to Russia for training, 80% of which are already in Kursk and expected to begin combat.
Okay, what are the North Koreans training for? To be the USA jailers? That's what I reckon. North Korea were the jailers in the Japanese War.
Operations against Ukraine in the region
World War
within
II.
coming days. Zelensky, who described the threat now posed by North Korea as a war of, quote, two countries against one. Meanwhile, guys, remember the report we updated you last week earlier this week that North Korea test fired a missile. Well, this report indicates that North Korea missile test puts anywhere in the United States within range. Very disturbing information coming out. This is again brand new information. We want to get you up to date on this. Again, North Korea's test of this latest intercontinental ballistic missile this past Thursday, quote, shows that anywhere in the United States mainland is within its range. The missile was reportedly fired 7:11 a.m. local time. Again, this took place on this past Thursday. It flew northeastward to the Sea of Japan, also known as the EC in South Korea, where it landed in the water at 8:37 a.m. All of this comes amid international fears over North Korean troops being deployed to fight Moscow in Ukraine. Again, this all comes amid international fears over North Korean troops being deployed to fight for Russia in Ukraine, or alongside Russia, rather. Meanwhile, look at this, guys. Taiwan mobilizes 400,000 to bolster civil defense.
Wow.
According to USA Today, the United States is also asking China. Now they're pleading with China to, quote, curb North Korean troops in Russia's Ukraine war. Quote, the U.S. had a robust conversation with China this past week about the North Korean troops dispatched to Russia, according to Secretary of State Antony Blinken said after a joint news conference with Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and their South Korean counterparts on Thursday. Quote, I think they know well the concerns that we have and the expectations that both in word and deed they'll use the influence that they have to work to curb these activities. Well, seems like our leaders have a lot of trust in China to curb what's happening here. What North Korea may receive from Russia in return for the troops should be a real concern to China. This is according to Antony Blinken. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte called the move a, quote, dangerous expansion of the Ukraine war, again in regards to the dispatchment of these North Korean troops. And he called it a dangerous escalation in North Korean involvement and a violation of United States Nation Security Council resolutions. Quote, the deepening military cooperation between Russia and North Korea is a, quote, threat to both the Indo-Pacific and Euro-Atlantic security. And then finally, North Korea will back Russia until victory in Ukraine. This is according to Russia's foreign ministry. I want to repeat this again. Russia's foreign minister stated that North Korea will back Russia until victory is made in Ukraine. So, guys, we've got a lot unfolding right now. The war drums are pounding louder and louder. And again, it echoes the words of the Gospel of Matthew chapter 24, wherein which the writer said, he wrote down what Jesus of Nazareth said would be the signs of the coming of the Son of Man, the end of the age. He said there will be wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. But be not troubled, for the end is not yet. For all of these things must come to pass. And having said that, I want to leave you guys, as always, with Luke 21:28. Jesus said, when you begin to see all of these things coming to pass, look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption is drawing near. Listen, guys, we love and appreciate you. We thank you for taking your time out on this Saturday night. You could be doing anything else, but we do appreciate you coming on here and listening to our update, listening to our latest report. Again, I want to implore you to get our app. This is how you don't rely on social media. We'd love for you guys to follow us on these social media platforms. But again, there's things that we will post that will only exclusively go on our app or main website that you will not see on social media.
Okay, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Hang on, didn't load.
The German economy has been slowly collapsing since the war in Ukraine, but now it is collapsing quickly. Last week, the International Monetary Fund cut its forecast and said the German economy would be stagnant this year. They had been hoping for a piddly 0.2% growth. So whose fault is this? Well, the German government is blaming the German people. The finance minister said, at the moment, we are not as successful as we should be and used to be in the European Union, as if it is the fault of the people. Joining us to discuss from Europe is political analyst Ralf Scholhammer. He is the host of the Hammer Time show on YouTube. Thank you for joining me. Can you interpret this, as I just did, as the German government passing the buck and not taking responsibility for imploding their own government and then blaming the people?
Well, as far as I recall, I think I had my first appearance on Redacted 2 years ago on precisely this topic, when I was talking with Clayton about the German economy, and a couple of times with you as well in the meantime. And pretty much what happened is exactly what we predicted. I mean, all of this was entirely foreseeable, and it was based on government policies. I mean, it's quite the chutzpah to kind of then pass on, as you just pointed out, correct?
Them sanctuary cities, they don't have a law that if you sue under $1,000 shoplifting, the coppers don't get involved. Is that right?
To pass the buck on to the people. You could make the claim that, of course, to some extent, the people voted for that government. So a certain amount of blame is with the people. But on the other hand, I think nobody really believed when they voted for the Greens and the Liberals and the Social Democrats that they really would go through with all these insane policies. It reminded me of something I just recently read about politics in the United States, where apparently a poll was taken that said that many voters, when they are confronted with some of the more radical proposals of the Democratic Party, they just refuse to believe it, right? From the whole transgender issue, all this kind of, they just say, "Oh, I don't believe that." And I think in Germany, when you look at what the Greens announced that they would do, I think many people just thought they're not going to do this. I think you say you're going to do this, but they're not going to really going ahead with it. But this is always the big difference, and we talked about this also on the show quite regularly. That's always the big difference between the right and the left. The right says it, but rarely means it. The left says it, and the left means it. No matter the cost, they want to push through their ideological agenda.
This is so frustrating because we see slow growth in the United States right now, although the recent GDP numbers have been sort of fudged so that we feel good about it. But if you voted for the Progressive Party, you have tanked your own economy because they are supporting war, because they support perversion of the market, because all kinds of things, right? For so many reasons that can go on and on and on. And so, but I guess what I'm so frustrated about is that they're sold that we're the good ones, we're the nice ones, but don't look at what we're doing. And so how is that sold to the German people?
Well, I think what you mentioned is so true. It always reminds me again, as you just mentioned, of this. We always told that, for example, the Republicans or the conservatives also in Europe, it's the party of the big business, right? It's the party of the oligarchs, so you name it. But if you look at, for example, donations to political parties and political movements like Wall Street or the equivalent of Wall Street in Europe, they have always been donating for whatever reason to left-wing parties. And I think a reason for this is, and this is quite underestimated, that of course many of the CEOs of these companies have been marinated in the same left-wing worldview and the same left-wing institutions as many of our civil servants have been. I just give you one quick example. What's currently happening to the German car industry, right, to the automotive sector. I mean, a lot of this, one has to admit, is self-inflicted. I mean, imagine this. You are the country that leads the research and production of internal combustion engines. Like you're Volkswagen. You're the largest producer of internal combustion engines in the world. And then all of a sudden you say, yeah, we're the best at this, but we have no problem if the EU says we're going to ban the ICE, we're going to switch all to electric. And sure, we know that others are better at this, but we don't care about it. And now you see exactly what's happening, right? That, for example, these once successful companies are on the verge of bankruptcy, or in the case of Volkswagen, they just try to survive by shifting all their production out of Germany. I mean, it is astounding, right? Since 1937, Volkswagen has produced in Germany without ever considering closing a single factory. Now they are planning to close down 3 factories. So there was a, let's say, collusion between ideological politicians and naive CEOs of many companies. I mean, because we have the receipts for this. Like, we have interviews with the former Volkswagen CEO who was saying, oh, if you look at Tesla, we don't care. Look at Volkswagen, we're so strong and we have such great programs and our leadership will be undisputed in the future. And now, of course, everything came crumbling down because they stood by and watched as the Greens, the Social Democrats, were, as you correctly pointed out, pushing both for an insane foreign policy in regards to Russia and in regards to Ukraine that is harming their economy, but also domestically, like the famous turning off of the nuclear power plants, like believing you can run an industrialized economy on wind and solar. So there is some blame to go around. But I will say one thing, if you allow me to. I was recently tweeting and saying that I believe the German people don't deserve this. And I think they don't deserve this because not all of them have been voting for the Greens. And I get a lot of feedback saying, oh no, the Germans deserve this. They brought it upon themselves and they had it coming. All right, some Schadenfreude, I do it myself, might be in order. But what people tend to forget is, given the significant role that Germany plays in the European and partially some of the global economy, if they commit suicide, we're all, in a sense, in Europe at least, linked together, right? So if one of us is committing suicide and dropping over the cliff, well, they're going to drag many of us down with them. So out of pure self-interest, the decline and the economic suicide of Germany is not a good thing. And I'd rather see a prosperous Germany that lifts everybody up than you seeing a self-defeating suicidal Germany that drags everybody down.
Right. There's a racist component to that, because why would we say the Germans deserve it and other countries don't based on their race, right? And so, for instance, I was watching, you had an exchange on X from this person who said, well, Germans' absence from work due to illness is up above any other developed nation. It's 25 days per year. So they just don't work anymore. Like literally this person says Germans don't value work anymore. And that's just not a stereotype that I think of while thinking of the German people. And your response is, it's really not their fault. They have no incentive to work when the government hates them so much. Why not just collect what people who don't work get? And so can you speak to that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's partially similar also to a small extent in the United States. If you create an incentive structure where you feel that putting in an honest day's work, 365 days a year, then at some point you got to doing it. And we have the numbers.
Hey, Lars, good to see you, mate.
Construction of the German tax codes, the way in which the social welfare system is made, it basically punishes people who want to work. Now, there's an argument being made, right? It's also demographics. The Germans tend to be older than others in Europe, and this is why they have more sick days. But this does not really add up to the experience that when you talk to, for example, company owners, where the idea is that many people say, well, if I have quote unquote sick days left, they're going to be taken just like vacation days. And this is a problem in Germany, right? You have 5 weeks paid vacation, you have a significant number of public holidays, and then you have another couple of weeks at sick leave. So that makes it very hard for companies to be productive, because in some cases it's true, if your workforce is absent for 2 out of 12 months, it's very, very hard to be competitive on a global scale. But on the other hand, how do you motivate people? I would not be motivated if somebody next to me, who is just as capable and skilled as me, is working less but getting more out of the system. Then why should I put in the extra work? And again, we have the numbers on this. The German state has created.
Okay. Good luck, Germany.
Good. Got my pink juice sweetened.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out and spending time with the two witnesses show tonight. It is always exciting to have everybody with us.
Thank you, Lars. Everything's fine this end, mate. God bless you.
Doing good. Just got back from my workout. I'm feeling good. Got my pink juice sweetened with stevia and erythritol. Feeling good. Got some fun stuff to talk about. We got Craig Bong here. So we got to get into some stuff about the Antichrist. That's always fun.
The little horn.
Looking forward to tonight. The little horn. Yes. If I could get the world to stop saying Antichrist, or at least use the damn word right. It's a spirit. The Antichrist is a spirit. Talk about the little horn. Because we need to know who he's usurping. Because the little horn usurps the other horns. It's like, I want to be specific. What are you talking about? Because it's like, there's like 8 people, 8, 9, 10 actually people referred to in Revelation 13. You can't just sum it all up with Antichrist. Come on. Because you got Revelation 13, you have the first beast. You have the first beast with 7 heads. But Revelation 17 says that the beast itself is another person. So you know what I mean. It's just like, we need to be more specific.
Greg, You said it was extremely hot where you were at. That is almost unbearable. You said,
Have you got a good shot of vodka with you, Shawnee?
how hot is it in your living room?
90 degrees.
Jeez. And your AC's been running all day? Man.
All day.
How
Keeping up.
how hot is it outside? Or will be tomorrow?
103.
Oof. That was pretty disgusting, to be frank with you.
But the heat index was supposed to be 112 today, so it feels a lot hotter.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what's up, Craig? Yeah, I appreciate you coming on the show last minute. I just sent him a message and said, hey, come on the show tonight. I saw one of your posts, which is what triggered this whole topic tonight, because I had been following his speech. And I'm really shocked that not anybody else is talking about this, guys.
About Charles? What we're going to do?
I look after the pets when Gabe goes away, and they drive me mad, and they're just pets. So I can't imagine what you're going through, Shawnee.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he point blank said peace and safety in his speech.
Safety or security?
Security. It's the same word.
Okay. The fact that they're transitioning to a new government, no one's talking about that, and it's a really big deal. But I guess it's not of interest to people right now.
Did you guys hear that there was a supposedly an assassination attempt on the Prince and Meghan?
Yeah, I heard
Is that
that.
her name? Yeah. Brand new news. I just heard that just coming in from the gym.
Wow. Well, Craig, bring us up to speed on what you think is happening.
True, Di.
Well, I sent you that video.
Yeah, can you play that real quick?
Yeah, go play the video, and then I'll look it up what he said.
Okay.
It's really short.
Yeah.
My government will play its part in trying to secure long-term peace and security in the Middle East. It is committed to a two-state solution with a safe and secure Israel alongside a viable and sovereign Palestinian state.
Wow.
My God.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, now that looks like a little horn. Like this is the Prince who's going to come and he's going to devour other horns. I could see this happening with this guy.
He does. It does. Yeah.
Either him or the crown. I don't know about him. He does look kind of frail, but like that kind of language right there, that's alarming.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to kick it around much longer. I mean, he's got a few years left in him. The fact that they're transitioning to a socialistic country, that was probably the bigger red flag than anything, because they essentially are going to make the Commonwealth ground zero for the rollout of the mark. Yeah.
Well, and the thing that's so interesting about him is he has converted to Islam. And we know there is a lot of Islamic imagery and persecution in the end time event. So he is ripe for being, right.
That's true. Yeah.
Leading it or a part of it.
Yeah. Craig, what's your thoughts, man?
I was trying to Google something on the UK because I don't know how to word it, but basically with this new government, they're going to push the digitization of everything. So I was trying to back up your claim, and I think you can go to ukdigital.co.uk. I think you can find information there.
Right.
But anyways, again, UK Digital Agency, so it's all there. And they're going to push their agenda. And in the path for the future, in September, there's also a push for this digitization for the whole world. So it's not just the UK. The UK's like ground zero, like you say, but it's actually the whole world that's going to push this agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I think Trump's going to fight it. I think he's going to be a thorn in their side.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think Donald Trump is going to be the thorn.
He's going to be a thorn.
And fight it. But he's still going to push. He's still going to push part of their agenda because they have. You just Google pandemic 2025 and see what they have planned for 2025 theoretically, and Donald Trump's the perfect guy to push the you know what in the arm. So that's what's
maybe
yeah.
He's not anti-vaccine. Yeah. I mean, I could see him.
Operation Warp
I don't see him. I don't see him forcing it like the Biden administration did, but I also don't see him. I see him saying that it would be, if you want to, type of a thing.
Yeah, and that might be the case. But he would push. He would push to get the. I don't want to mess you up on your channel, but anyways, he would push
No. You say whatever you want, man. I'm open to whatever.
Push to get what's needed to stop the next scamdemic.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but we'll see what happens. So they're planning a bird flu thing in Washington D.C. at October 2nd through the 4th. And then the UN has declared December 27th as Epidemic Preparedness Day at focus2030.org. So I mean, they're getting ready for this event, but we don't know how soon it is. So it's estimated it'll come anywhere from November. We'll see it coming anywhere from November to early 2025.
Yeah, Shawnee, I got that lined up. I was going to finish with that. Apparently, it's an AI Bible, and it's really bad. You'd imagine.
That's just estimates. We really don't know.
Yeah, they've been planting the seeds.
Yep.
Yeah, we can see the system. I almost wonder if there's somebody we haven't been introduced to yet. Like, I'm thinking of the imagery of the little horn. I mean, like, King Charles really doesn't seem like a little horn. He seems kind of like a big old horn to me. Like, I'm wondering if there's not somebody that's going to rise up and like become this world leader who Charles is going to give his power and authority to, like his son.
He can't do it. He's gonna hold the throne until his last day. He knows he has at least 7 years left because he has a 7-year plan that's all planned out with COP29 to COP35, and it's the business and philanthropy forums. So he has 7 years planned ahead of him, and he's not going to let go of his plan. He's been working it for the last 52 plus years, 53 years. To push this agenda, this communist agenda through. It used to be called Agenda 21, and it was changed to the Millennium Development Goals. So it's a plan for 1,000 years, and now it's Agenda 30. So and now we have a pact for the future coming, which is their end goal to this whole push.
It's interesting.
That's a 5 to 10 year plan, so they're not saying exactly how long that pact is going to be for, but looks like 5 to 10 years. They're pushed. So I've seen more push towards a 7 to a 10 year time frame than anything else. But it's a short term time frame.
What's interesting is the devil seems to do the most damage with people who have how do I say this? Like with Biden, it was dementia, and Charles, it looks like he's got something serious going on. It's almost like these people they're trying to make their last dying impact on the world, and they just are like destroying everything doing it. Almost seems like a key feature of the devil.
The Pope too. The Pope is like, it looks like he's been on his last legs for years, and the news always says, oh, he's in the hospital and this and that, and he's still pushing his agenda all the way to the very end. So he could live another 7 or 8 years too.
And they're doing so much damage. Well,
it is interesting to watch it all unfold. It really is. I'm really at a loss on a lot of things, but for folks that didn't know, Israel retaliated today. To Yemen. Well, here's the thing. Yemen, about a week ago, if I'm not mistaken, sent in a barrage of drones. That it was 200 or 300 drones that attacked Jerusalem, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But one of the drones landed 100 meters from the U.S. embassy. So, apparently this is the retaliation.
Are you talking about the little quadcopters that they've been using in battle? Because I know that they're like they've been hiring these FPV drone pilots, which I'll have to go find my drone. I've shown it on the show before, but I don't know, it's about the size of your hands, a little bit bigger maybe, but they can carry it.
They drop grenades on the Ukrainian soldiers in the trenches.
Explosives, and they've been using them quite a lot in the battle with the Big Bear and the
Ukraine.
Yellow and what are the code words for these countries? Big Bear and what are we saying for the other one? You know what I'm talking about. The one that the Big Bear's fighting. You know what I'm talking about. They're using drone warfare.
Yellow and blue.
Yellow and blue. Yeah, the yellow and blue. They're using drone warfare. I was watching some YouTube videos of them. It's just like they literally sit in a hole and they launch these drones that are about the size of your hand, and they have explosives on them. They're running them into tanks. They're running them into soldiers, and they're doing massive, massive damage. So I'm wondering if that's not what Yemen sent in. If they didn't send in those little drones, because they probably would bypass the Iron Dome because they're so small. They're not like big missiles.
I'll find out.
So there's a 7-year covenant that was signed last year in the UK. It was signed on March 21st, 2023. There's 2 copies in the English language, and both are equally authentic. So they have a vision of the bilateral relationship never being stronger between Israel and the UK. It says the 2 countries complement each other's strengths. As freedom-loving, innovative, and thriving democracies, Israel and the UK are proud of our deep and historic, so that's a key word, historic partnership. We are firm friends and natural allies. So in November of 2021, the British government and the Israeli government signed a memorandum of understanding. And you can probably look that up. It's the government.uk publication, UK Israel Strategic Partnership Memorandum of Understanding. And it elevates the UK-Israel bilateral relationship to a strategic partnership. So there's something really big coming that the UK is pushing, and they want to, and their key is to get it pushed in towards the end of this year. The whole world wants peace by the end of the year, especially they're gonna sign the document September 23rd at the UN General Assembly called the Pact for the Future, and it's an enforcement of peace. Peace has to be enforced on the whole world with the signing of the pact. So the UK is behind that. The Pope is behind this event, and King Charles is behind this event.
Man, I was just listening to Trump's rally in Michigan, which, man, can you imagine doing a rally 7 days after an assassination attempt? I mean, like, that guy has got some cojones. But during the rally, he was talking about he's different listening to him talk, but at the same time, he's also there's also a lot of things that are the same. So he was talking about, like, why he's a president of peace. It's just like, he doesn't want people to die. So it's just like, why can't you make friends with people? Why can't you negotiate peace? Why do you always have to go into war and battle? But it's like, you can see that the world is so hell-bent on war. I don't know if his tactics are going to work this time around. Because the first time around, he was able to leverage a lot more, saying, look, we're going to put 100% tariff, or we're going to say, we've got more bombs and missiles than you. He had a lot more leverage. I think the current administration has destroyed so much of our strength that I don't know if he's going to have that same leverage the second time around, because our dollar is losing value. So he's going to have a much harder time actually, saying, look, we're going to put tariffs on stuff if you don't give us what we want. I think people might start calling him out, and there's probably going to be a lot more conflict this time around. So it'll be interesting to see how things go. I know, they have this conference, the Peace and Safety Conference. Isn't that September 23rd?
September 23rd. Peace is one of the headlines is peace and security. So that's part of the agreement.
Yeah.
Worldwide peace and security.
And we know that when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction. I'm curious who's the first one to hit the button. You know what I mean? Is it going to be Trump or is it going to be another nation?
Yeah. You know,
So there's another interesting being that we're talking about Trump. The UK joins Israel in acknowledging the historic significance of the Abraham Accords. And so basically, the UK is going to hijack the Abraham Accords and make it their own and make it stronger, which have the potential to enable profound advancements for security, coexistence, prosperity, and peace for the region and its peoples. The UK will work with Israel to both deepen and expand these developments and build upon the progress of the historic Negev Summit in March 2022 to explore opportunities for regional cooperation and development and coordination with the emerging regional architecture of both security, keyword again, and civilian spheres. So basically, they're going to take this covenant and try to make it greater before Donald Trump gets in office.
I think things are going to be very interesting every day.
Every day for the rest of the year.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is how I start out my day. I'm going to show you how I start out my day. I go take my phone right here and I go, Siri, how many days until December 31st? And she'll answer.
Wow.
So we have 164 days to go of excitement.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
every day.
Every day I check.
You know, Trump ended his conference. Well, not his conference. The
RNC. That was epic.
He ended it with that song from The Sum of All Fears, where essentially the deep state was all executed. That was a bold statement. And then the next day, they shut it all down. Guys, I'm truly surprised we still have internet. Seriously.
You know what? Maybe I should order Starlink as a third backup because Elon seems to be like the major backbone in the tribulation.
Yeah, I mean, guys, it's their biggest problem right now is information is spreading at the speed of light. Is essentially what it is. I mean,
well, the pact for the future, they want to suppress the information. Yeah. So my theory is towards the end of this year, we're going to see a very strong pushback against our misinformation. Misinformation is being that you're a Christian and you're putting information out. But
we're going to be enemies.
We're going to be a strong target against with those people that are pushing Agenda 2030.
Sorry, guys.
Speaks out like you and I are going to. There's a good chance our channel will shut down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a feeling. So, and I'm basing this based on Brandon. So Brandon is proving he's gotten a couple of prophecies right. He got the ear prophecy right. And today, another part of his prophecy came to pass. Because part of that same prophecy where he saw Trump's ear get blown off or shot, he said he also saw a red wave in Michigan. And today, Trump was doing another rally 7 days after that assassination attempt, and it was a huge red wave. I take that as a fulfillment of that vision that he saw. And I bring that up because he has some very specific visions that he's seen regarding this year and the tribulation. And during that whole time, it's going to be a struggle, but it seems like we still have like communication, and it's just that we're dealing with a lot of division and conflict during that time. So I think we're still probably going to have access to internet, and I'm wondering if Elon doesn't really play a big role.
So I saw a YouTube clip of someone trying to vote for Trump, but the electronic screen wouldn't take the vote. He'd press Trump and it'd switch to Biden or whatever it switched to, but he couldn't properly vote for Trump because it wouldn't register it.
Hole in that, because we know he has Starlink. So I guess it depends on how they attack the infrastructure and where you're at, is what I would assume based on what we've seen from like the prophets.
Well, you know what? I saw that. Only plants deny that Trump is the Antichrist.
Oh man, I don't know how you can. I don't know how you can look at good and call it evil. But that's just.
Yeah. You know, I will say this. It looks like I'm not sure if this is temporary, but after the attempt on 45's life, it almost seems like there's some unity coming together across the aisle and across the nation.
Yeah. Well, look at Elon.
Seriously.
Like literally within minutes, he pledged his support. And here's the thing about Elon is Trump has been very vocal about eliminating the what is it, the executive orders and the policies around electric vehicles. And Elon is still supporting him. You would think that it would be a conflict of interest. And Trump actually talked about this during the.
I think Elon would know that electricity cars is not going to be better than gas cars. Simple as that.
A convention today. He says Elon knows that we cannot achieve what it is that they're trying to.
It's exactly what I just said.
Do with this transition to electric, because you just don't get the same energy density with electric that you get with gasoline. So it's like it has to be a transition, and Elon agrees with him, and that's evident by the fact that he's giving Trump $45 million a month. And as far as people coming across the aisle, Zuckerberg seems to be supporting Trump now. He said that he's not going to do what he did last election, to where he paid for all those boxes and put in such a massive effort. So I don't think they're going to be able to pull what they did last time this time, because like you said, there's too many people coming across the aisle.
Yeah, we need that nowadays.
They're seeing the evil and the chaos, and they're like, we're not going to put up with it this time.
Yeah, they get so dusty.
Yeah, and it seems like there is actually some unity happening right now.
Yeah. I wonder if this is the falling away.
So here's a question off the target, though. Do you think Biden will last until September?
I don't, but that's based on Jim Harmon.
I don't. I know that I'm pretty confident that he bows out of the election.
It's looking like that. He's got almost no support, and he can't say anything, and he can't say anything to keep himself in because he can't speak. So
that's true.
Yeah.
The question is Kamala going to receive power in the meantime, or is something else going to happen? And then also, who are they going to run on that ticket? Today we heard that they might be running Hillary.
Oh, that'd be so funny.
I saw that too. It might be Hillary. I call her Hillary.
There's no way Hillary would go second fiddle to Kamala.
I'm kidding you not. That's the word on the street.
So I wonder what King Charles has to do with everything that's going on inside our borders right now, because he's awfully quiet. But I have a gut feeling that there's a lot more to his actions than what's being let on.
The AAA.
For any information, you'd have to see John Kerry.
Yeah, they are.
And John Kerry and King Charles are like this, so they're very close.
Yeah.
But John Kerry doesn't put a lot of information out there, so it's.
Has Charles been doing a lot of public speaking? Because one of the key attributes of this little horn is he blasphemes God, and he persecutes the saints. Like, I could see him persecuting the saints because of his conversion to Islam. I could see that coming down the road. But have we seen him in a lot of public, or is he trying to build this unity Islam thing?
He's already blasphemed God. He calls himself king of all the king over the universe on his Terra Astra Carta, and king over the people in planet on his Terra Carta. So it's all on create on
there it is.
It's not the word, but it's king over creation, people and planet, and king over all the universe. So it's his two seals have it right on there that he blasphemes God. So he puts himself in a position above God, that he is the overseer of all creation and the whole universe.
Those are the zingers that I'm looking for. Like, 'cause that matches scripture, man.
You
It's
look
just
at
like,
this Asper Carta, and it says it has the crown, so you just read it, the crown, and then you read the outer rim of the seal,
Yep.
and it's that's how you're supposed to read heraldry, and it's right there, right in front of you.
Wow.
And his
Yeah,
book, I
see,
have his book, Harmony. He says God is gone, and he's there to replace him.
see,
Wow.
that tracks far closer to scripture than Trump, who puts out a video every year declaring that Jesus is a savior, and he credits God for saving his life. You know, those people who are in that boat that they think Trump is the Antichrist. I mean, come on, open your eyes. I mean, like, he does not blaspheme God. You just don't like him because he's a smart ass and he's sarcastic. Well, so was Elijah.
No, so was
Should give AI a bad name then, Vas.
King Nebuchadnezzar. A lot of people compare Trump as liking to King Nebuchadnezzar, and I have to agree because he's very full of pride. Full of pride. He doesn't need. He doesn't need to repent. He doesn't need it, but he does acknowledge God. So he does support the Christians, at least to this point. So I don't know what he's going to do with president 4 years from now, but at least up to now, he supports Christians or people of all faith.
And Israel.
You
Trump
see at the
supports
RNC,
Israel.
they had some lady do some stupid prayer. And
To the
yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I think they were
And
trying
it
to
is
capture.
God has his hand of protection on Trump. I mean, like, they have thrown everything, including the kitchen sink, and they're starting to pull out the plumbing and try and throw it at him, and nothing sticks. So God clearly has his hand. I'm not saying that he's like the idol that you should be, patterning your life after, but it's clear that God has his hand of protection on him.
So
he's an instrument for God in my mind.
Craig,
Had to go down
but
before
what do you
got
think
home.
King Charles's next move is?
Get your flowers.
You know, it's
the next move. The next 60
It
days. I
rained
don't
all
know,
day
but
yesterday, I
60
couldn't go
days from
down.
now, it's going to be the pact for the future. That's his next move. And so there's a woman that rides this system, that rides both sides, that communicates with the Pope and communicates with Charles, and her name is Jennifer Jordan Saifi, and she's the CEO of Sustainable Markets Initiative.
Huh?
She's going to be more than likely she'll be showing up to the UN General Assembly to push the King's objectives at that assembly. So you can actually say a woman rides the beast. There's actually a woman that rides the beast, even though technically it's not, doesn't have to do anything with a woman riding the beast in scripture, but we have that imagery right in front of us, that there's a woman that's pushing this beast system.
Did you have your KFC?
Yeah,
my mind continues to go back to the forming of a new government for the Commonwealth.
No, look, there's nothing.
Our audience doesn't
Animals go
understand.
away.
Yeah, now you're referring to what's been happening that's kind of been buried because of the assassination attempt and stuff like that.
No way, Johnny.
really
So
feel
cool.
That is a very significant clue that no one is talking about it.
I'll tell you what, if Trump doesn't get in, you guys are going to explode. I reckon DC is going to go off its tree, New York. He's got to get in for the safety of the nation. Whether he's good or bad, he's much better than Kamala.
Because under this new government they're forming, there will be no one that can say no to him. He will have full and ultimate authority.
Yeah.
Prior to this, they still had to go before the cabinet or whatever that's called there in England, and he had pushback. He could still do whatever he wanted, but he still had pushback. Now, under this new government, it's the gloves are off. If they say every citizen is going to get a digital ID that we're going to plant in your hand or your head, they're going to do it. And if you don't do it, you're not going to eat. That's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're laying the groundwork for it.
Yeah.
He's right, unfortunately.
It's
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
I'm starting to see
there is
some
Go ahead. Well, there is documentation on that. It's under the 7-year agreement between Israel and the UK, Section 5. With increasing threats in cyberspace cooperation between Israel and the UK is vital in order to counter efforts to malign forces. So here we have a whole thing on cyber security, internet security, digitalization, so it's the Cyber Dialogue Committee to an annual high-level dialogue on cybersecurity and resilience, global governance, working towards a more closely aligned vision on global governance in cyberspace. So here we have Israel pushing, along with UK, pushing global governance. Cyber skills, deepening cooperation on developing cyber skills and encouraging a diverse workforce, and cyber startups and prosperity. So they want us to do more startup companies, promoting the development and I don't know how to pronounce any words. So anyways, that's they're partnering up for this cybersecurity and digitalization of the world. And then it goes to section 6. It's science, innovation, and technology. So it goes right into the technology of it.
Yeah.
Yep. We conduct all that stuff. And, and that's what really sets apart this time that people don't really understand is in the past, like when that guy wrote that book, 88 Reasons Why Jesus Was Going to Return in 1988, they didn't have the technology to enforce the mark of the beast, enforce it so that you can't buy or sell without this particular mark. We're living in an age where that's 100% possible now.
So Israel would be the country that pushes this digital mark, along with the UK. Yeah, it says right here, the Tech Gateway will support regional and sector-based alliances in the UK, building on the launch of the Pan-Northern UK Health Tech Gateway. So that's what we're talking about with this. So the health tech, and we'll also explore further opportunities across a number of sectors. And in the Midlands, energy and smart mobility, and the West Midlands, cybersecurity, etc. So but anyways, it's multiple points. But Israel is supposed to lead the way on this digitalization
Well, I know Israel, people don't realize how much of a superpower Israel is. I mean, for as small of a country. Yeah, as small of a country as Israel is, I think they're the world's 4th largest superpower, and a lot of it is due because of their technology, not only with their military technology, but they also have agricultural technology, they have digital currency technology, they have cybersecurity technology. They're leading the world in cybersecurity. So I could see them playing a role in that system because of, what it is that they've accomplished. So that'll be interesting to watch.
They also have a thing on climate. That's a big issue. So the Agenda 2030 climate, the global warming issues.
Oh, Trump was mocking the climate stuff today. It was hilarious.
And then once again on health, so we got another health problem coming. So that's part of the 7-year covenant. Culture, which is only like 1 paragraph. Education and higher education. They want to brainwash everybody with their education. That's through your TV and through your public schools, and then they want to build UK-Israel cooperation to support development of low and middle income countries. So that's
I almost wonder if the United States isn't the place for Philadelphia, for those who are kept from the trials that are coming on the rest of the world.
I believe that the Church of Philadelphia is raptured out of here, so it's gone. But
that's my hope too. Yeah, that's our hope. Yep, that's our hope. We pray to escape every single day. But in the event that we have that wrong, which I'm hoping that we don't, in the event that we have that wrong, I wonder if that's not what's going on with why Trump is very likely going to win the election. If he's not the annoyance in the world for the next 2 to 3 years that kind of keeps the majority of us safe. I don't know. But like you said, I'm hoping for a rapture out of here, because I don't want to go through what's coming on the whole world.
The day one is 1 Thessalonians 5:3. And suddenly, so as soon as they say peace and security, or while they're saying it, so they're celebrating this peace and security, then
That
sudden
reminds me
destruction,
of something.
and then the sudden destruction falls upon them. It's not. Paul doesn't say it falls upon us; it says them. So us we're gone. And then Revelation 6:2 concerning the Antichrist, he had previously been given a bow. The bow, it means rainbow or ribbon, and then he's previously been given a crown. So you can narrow who the Antichrist is just in Revelation 6:2, because the only person on earth today been given a bow is King Charles in January of 2020. He was given a crown in May of 2023. And he's the only person in the world given a coronation, and the only person that was given an anointing to be king of Israel.
Hey, Christopher, I just sent you a link to a YouTube video. It's a short. Play that video because it's really interesting. This guy goes through and talks about how the world would collapse if you were the last person on Earth. And I think it's really indicative.
Let's say you wake up tomorrow and you can't find anyone, and I mean anyone,
hit pause. So in the event that there is a rapture, the world would suffer sudden destruction, and it would take a period of time to recover. And I think this guy illustrates it with his.
If there was a rapture like they're saying, the world wouldn't recover. I don't think it could recover.
With how he explains what happens.
Oh, wow. Here we go. Look up tomorrow and you can't find anyone, and I mean anyone. Every single person on Earth has disappeared except for you. What do? Well, you have about 1 week left of electricity before all of the lights turn off for the very last time because there was no one there to man the power grids. All of the house pets on Earth have now been trapped inside of their homes, so try and free as many of them as possible and maybe pick up a companion or two. Those you can't free have about 2 weeks before they pass away due to dehydration or starvation. Eat as many imported foods as you can before they expire, like bananas, pineapple, and avocado, because once they're gone, you're going to have a very hard time finding more. Then try and figure out how close you are to the nearest nuclear reactor, because after about a month, they're going to become unstable and start having meltdowns. You have about 2 years before all of the fuel expires, so I would recommend getting in a car and driving to wherever you want to set yourself up for the long term. After about a year, the cities will start to be reclaimed by nature, making your surroundings a lot greener. Watch your head, because it's around this time where satellites will start falling back to Earth. Let's say you wake up tomorrow and you can't find anyone, and I mean,
there you go.
And you can't find anyone, and I mean anyone.
So imagine if a huge number of people are removed from the planet. You know, some of those people are managing power plants, they're managing infrastructure. There's going to be a period of chaos and destruction in the event of a rapture events. I thought that was interesting.
Making your surroundings a lot greener. Watch your head, because it's around this time where satellites will start falling back to Earth. Let's say you wake up tomorrow and you can't find anyone, and
Can't hear you. Are you talking, Christopher?
Can't hear you.
Yeah, I muted myself. Sorry. Had to run out there to make my daughter macaroni, and I always mute when I go off. You never know. Kids could have a meltdown in the meantime. That's interesting about the nuclear reactors, and that is so true.
Yeah, that's true there.
As soon as no one is not manning them, they will melt down. That is nuts.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. And it's true.
Yeah.
And those fuel rods, you know, they'll keep burning. They'll burn into the core.
Yeah. That puts a whole new perspective on the Great Tribulation. If a lot of the knowledge to maintain, you know, what we have in the world today is just suddenly removed, and those who are left behind have to figure out how to grow food, you know, get resources. You know, they're going to get a sudden lesson in living without electricity in some areas. I mean,
That's why you have the horses of the apocalypse, and one of the horses that brings about great inflation, because you're going to have a total lack of food worldwide. You have a lot of the conservatives or Christians are farmers, and so when the farmers are gone, the store's gonna get their food.
Well, yeah, I mean,
So,
you can
yeah.
see it right now. They are dismantling the global food supply right before our eyes. Hey,
Yeah.
mainstream media never talks about it, but the independent media, you can pick it up from time to time. But
Chicken,
go to
the chickens. I bought 2 chicken legs the other day and a chicken thigh, and it was $8. I was like, good grief, this what a ripoff.
wow.
That's all we had too. It was 2 chicken legs and a thigh, and it was $8.
I just saw somebody, they had a receipt.
Chicken for that.
They had a receipt for Walmart of food they had delivered during the previous administration. It was like $50. And out of curiosity, they just reordered the exact same items that were on that list. It was $450 to get the same items. That's
Yeah,
how
I
much
saw that.
inflation has gone up. It's like, it is hard right now.
Yeah. And I believe the chickens are also the target of what's going on with the bird flu, if I'm not mistaken, Craig.
Yeah, chicken. Then you'll have some mad cow disease too come about. So then no more beef, no more chicken.
You have to eat the bugs.
Yeah. Yep. So
Get a book.
things.
Get a book on edible plants. In every area around the world, with the exception of the frozen areas, there's an abundance of plants that are edible, and animals too. You should learn learn how to identify them and learn how to safely find the stuff that's poisonous too. Like
Yeah.
I actually
accumulate
have
that
that.
knowledge.
I actually have
There
a
you
book
go.
on that. Well, so down the road from you, huge cattail cat food there to survive for 7 years for somebody. Just eat cattail.
Yeah,
So
we-
the cattail are edible, the cattail flower is edible, and the cattail root is edible. It tastes like artichokes supposedly. I have to try some sometime this year. And see how hard it is to make up. But anyways, cattail is just one. Locust seeds are another. Birch trees, you can drill a hole in the birch tree and drink the water all day long. So, and then birch trees have water going through their trees all the time. So I know how to survive in the wild for a little bit. Unless I'm in a evergreen.
We have a lot of dandelions where I'm at. I got about 5 acres of dandelions, so I'll be making salads.
Those are really good with blueberries.
Wow.
Dandelion greens with blueberries taste really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exciting what's unfolding and scary at the same time, but it's really a sobering thought. My mind keeps going back to what King Charles is doing, and I wish we had more information, like insight on where he is at mentally with this, because like you said, Craig, he's been his whole life is set up for this moment in time that we're dealing with right now. He's been working on this forever. I'm just still taken back that England, the United Kingdom, the Commonwealth, however you want to call it, is switching governments. I had no idea that was coming. It's just extremely interesting. And as we've watched all the news regarding England over the last 6 months, they just look pathetically weak. Every time I see them, their cops are being essentially humiliated by migrants. They're always getting ran out. And then this last city here, Leeds, over the weekend, the migrants took over the entire city.
Yeah.
And
it's just a small glimpse into what's to come.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a sobering thought, because we're seeing something unfold before our very eyes that really they're not talking about. It's like they're using everything else as a distraction. But I think it's probably one of the most important things that is happening right now. But maybe I got it wrong, because no one else, I don't think anyone else is on that train of how serious it is, except you guys. I mean, I get it, but no one else really. I don't really see anybody else talking about this.
Yeah, they do.
Hey, Craig, do you feel like taking some questions? Can I put up a thing for people to ask you some questions?
Sure, I can answer them. I'll state this too. It says 3 months on from Starmer's ascension to labor leadership, we now have a better idea of how he wants to lead what is still officially called Her Majesty's Most Loyal Opposition. That's pretty interesting. So he's Marxist, communist, and it's what King Charles wants.
Yeah, sounds like a tribulation to me. So
Yeah,
how does it feel about? How does it feel about?
about?
Yeah. So is there anything in his stuff about like taking off heads?
No,
Good
you can find some
question.
of that within the U.S. under Obama, but
Actually, that was a good question.
it's kind of a weak support. But anyways, but I think that's going to be pushed through this Islamic side of things. So, but that's just my opinion.
So
yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence that Obama is Muslim and Charles is Muslim as well.
Yeah,
and they like to take off heads.
And they like to take off heads.
Charles claims all religions. So he claims to be Christian, the head of the Anglican Church. He claims to be a part of Judaism, and then also Islam. So he claims three religions. And in his coronation, he included, I believe, six different religions, because he wants to be a leader of all religions.
Even a Hindu pundit they had there.
Yep. And then they had that crazy black figure that walked behind. That was really weird.
That was a trip.
Yeah. Death. I mean, Death, the Grim Reaper that walked through the back.
I watched that thing. I fell asleep right before that happened. I couldn't stay awake anymore. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, I'm done. And I missed it by like 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. We have a question here from Beautiful Chaos. When did Charles convert to Islam? Because during his coronation, it was Christian icons and in a church.
I think it was 2004. It was not anytime recent. Greg,
I know he has close ties with the Catholic Church, which I believe explains why it was in a church. But even the Pope is talking about merging religions with Islam, probably at the guidance of Charles, is my guess, which is why they're coming up with Chrislam, which is a combination of Christian and Islam.
The allegations of him being part of Islam go back to 1996. So he prefers Islam because of their architecture. That's how I can answer that. So that he doesn't go. He's not really supporting their faith per se, but he supports their architecture. And he has a whole book on that called Harmony.
He definitely loves architecture.
Yeah, he loves architecture. So he did a really good candidate to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. So could Donald Trump. So could Pope Francis, or all three. So that we just don't know. It's too early to tell.
You know what's interesting though is that his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, her lineage is connected to Muhammad, which is another interesting piece of the puzzle, because his lineage goes back to several things. On his father's side, to Count Dracula, if I'm not mistaken. The Romans, it's the lineage, if you actually were to pull that genealogy up, is extremely interesting. But I'm sure that any information online about that maybe will not show the exact truth. But I'm sure you guys understand where I'm going with that.
It's actually on Ancestry.com. So if you go to Ancestry.com, yeah, so you can see his lineage chart, I believe, on Ancestry.com.
Does it show his mother's relationship to Muhammad, or is that just
I don't know. They want to show their relationship to Jesus Christ, and so that's the lineage they're trying to show.
Really?
Yep. So another blast.
Okay, we got another question for you. When did you suspect that Charles could be the Antichrist, and why?
Great question.
I didn't get the question. You froze up.
Oh, really? When did you suspect that Charles is the Antichrist, and why?
Oh, but it would have been 2005.
I can't remember the bowl video, Vars. I can't remember it.
Princess Diana wrote in one of her, I believe it's in her book, but anyways, it stated that her son would rule for 1,000 years in peace, and her husband Charles would bring about destruction prior to that. So I thought automatically, oh, Prince Charles is Antichrist. But once I started looking at the coat of arms, Prince William and Prince Charles at that time, Prince William's does not match 100% to the Revelation 13 or to Passage of Daniel. Only Prince Charles coat of arms matches 100%.
Yeah.
So we have another question.
Oh.
Is he the only one in his family that has a connection to Islam, or are there more? You know.
I would
Yeah, post it again, Var. Sorry, mate, I didn't see it.
I would not know. King Charles is very highly, what's the word? He's supported by those in Islam. So Saudis, for example, he's supported by.
Yeah, I mean, look at the majority of occupants now in that nation. I mean, it's a pretty staggering amount to see them shut down entire city streets just for prayer.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah,
you can't read the Bible in public there. You can't.
Yeah, they're laying down their carpets in the streets, and they're doing their Islamic prayers.
Run the bastards over.
It's I mean, you can't read the Bible on the street there, but yet they can stop traffic and, the whole town throw down their carpet on the ground. And, it's not my place to say what is right and what is wrong and that as far as that, but it just seems severely biased.
Well, and we know in other countries they will kill you if you have a Bible app on your phone. So there's definitely persecution against anyone who follows Jesus or the Bible. Whether it's gotten that bad there, I don't know if it's gotten that bad yet, but you can see a path to it.
Yeah.
In London, yeah. So if you're a street preacher in London, you're going to get shut down.
Yeah. Yeah, Jack D.
100% chance you're shut down by the police.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And guys, we don't hate Islam. I see one of the comments asking why we're hating on Islam. That's a pretty strong word. I wouldn't go that far, but we follow clues to the persecutors. And anyone that's read the Quran or just has some information about their Mahdi in the Quran, the Mahdi is essentially their Messiah, and it matches the description of the little horn, the Antichrist, out of the Bible, almost to the letter. I mean, it's pretty astounding if you look into it with any in detail, and I think that's what Watch.
That's true, 100% true.
Well, and there's a lot of other imagery. Cutting off heads is a Islamic practice. Not burying when you defeat an enemy, not burying them and desecrating their grave or desecrating the bodies is another Islamic practice. So like the two witnesses who are killed and then left in the street for 3.5 days, that falls in line with what they would do in Islam. And then the sending gifts to one another is another Islamic practice. When they defeat an enemy, they literally give candy out to the kids. It's like Christmas.
Wow.
So there's imagery like this that leads us to believing.
Wow, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? Wow.
At Islam. Now we are aware that there are multiple sects, just like in any belief or religion, there are multiple sects. So we're not pointing it at everybody. It's those who believe so strongly or who are convicted so strongly that they would kill somebody who doesn't agree with them. Those are the ones that we're condemning, and that is not all Muslims. There are Shiites, there's Sunni and the Shiites. So there are those who are peaceful and probably don't fall in that category. And I imagine that they're going to be faced with a choice to choose between converting over to those who would kill and refusing to do that. I imagine that's coming on the entire world. people are going to be faced with that decision. So it's not like we're condemning the people. We're condemning those who would kill.
Well, let me clarify something. Let me clarify something in the chat real quick.
We can't say it's solely Islam that's going to push it either. There's going to be other groups that push it as well. It could be either white supremacists that push it as well. So it's a wide variety of platforms. It's probably going to be pushed.
Yeah, let me correct someone in the comments, Jack D. No, the Islamic faith does not think Jesus is their savior. No. They believe Jesus is a man. They believe that Jesus walked this earth. They even believe that
Jesus comes back subordinate to the Mahdi.
He was a prophet, but they deny that he was killed on the cross and raised from the dead. Now, how Jesus ties into the Islamic culture and the apocalyptic part of the Quran is that he will assist their Messiah, which is the Mahdi. So yes, Jesus is involved in the Islamic faith, and it is said by them that when Jesus returns, or however he ascends, that he lets all the Christian community know that he is not the Son of God. And he lets the entire world know that the Mahdi is the Messiah. So, Jack D, when you comment, make sure you have your facts straight before misleading the folks in the group. All right, that's all I had to say.
Ready for another question?
Sure.
Do you believe the woman riding the dragon is the Catholic Church because they have persecuted the saints?
Yes, I would say yes, but there's a lot of similarities to other things too. So the woman that rides the beast is actually seen on. You can actually Google it, and it's Europa that rides the wild beast in Europe. So you have that imagery already in Europe. But yes, the woman that rides the beast would be the Catholic Church.
Okay. All right, here's the next question. Where do you feel that we are in the timeline of tribulation?
We haven't got there yet, but we're almost there. Like almost. I'm not gonna say what day, but it's literally days away. We're hours away. So it could be 1 month out. It could be 6 months out. That's just how near we are. So we're very, very close. I think if we keep watching the Pact for the Future that's going to be signed September 22nd, 23rd, I think that's going to be a huge indicator of how much time we have left, because they're going to announce what time that event, that pact is going to start and how long it's for. And then King Charles is, as a strategic partner to that event, will likely confirm it sometime thereafter.
Yeah. It's based off where you think we are at. When should the two witnesses be showing up, based off of your perception?
I would say 2025. So we can safely say it's 2025 that they show up. Whether it's the beginning of 2025 or the end of 2025 is too early to tell.
For some reason, I always thought that they show up at the start of the tribulation period.
Yeah. So as soon as the covenant is confirmed, Daniel 9:20.
So interesting. Yes, very interesting.
Who are they? That's up for debate. I think most people agree Elijah is one of them, and the other one could be Enoch, could be Moses, because Moses' body was hid, so that Satan couldn't desecrate the body of Moses. But their miracles they do, the two witnesses they do, they mirror exactly how Moses' miracles were and Elijah's miracles. So they mirror the miracles of those two men, and you can't really include Enoch in there. Other than Enoch never died. And then when Jesus had the transfiguration, he had the two witnesses next to him. It was Enoch. It was Elijah and Moses. So there you have it.
Yeah.
So the answer is we don't know, but more likely it's probably those two men.
Right. We're very close. I know that much. And guys, please keep your head on a swivel when you're out and about. I really feel like wherever you live, you need to keep your eyes peeled. I believe that the folks running the show.
Diane, do you think the Democrats are going to rise up if they lose to Trump? I can't see the Democrats being brave enough to do that, but I can see the Republicans doing it if Kamala wins and Trump doesn't. But I can't see the Democrats being that organized.
Right now,
I could be wrong.
Are desperate. I think they are desperate and feeling like they're losing grip.
That window of opportunity is closing.
That's for sure. Get saved.
Yeah, I mean,
get saved, or you're going to be you may have to lose your head in order to.
I was referring to Klaus Schwab, but you took it the other way, with a good way.
Get saved now, or you're going to suffer.
Klaus Schwab said a couple of years ago that there was a small window of opportunity to push their agenda, and that window in the time is closed
right now.
And in fact, he said it with 10 years to go. So right now we're at 7 years to go for their agenda. So
yeah, their dominoes are not falling the way they intended them to fall, based off the amount of. There's a lot of stuff tied to this attempt with number 45. There is a lot going back. I've been digging into that kid. There's someone else involved. He went over in Israel and traveled extensively. The rifle that he used was a Black Rock weapon. Not sure if anybody realizes that, but they confirmed that. But if you guys dig into it, Black Rock owns a lot of companies. They have 11% ownership of Smith & Wesson. I think 6% of Ruger. So there's a lot of stuff that's tied to them. He had
Did you know that BlackRock owns the company that did the shutdown with the airlines the other day?
Good night, Phil. God bless, mate.
It's like
Counter-Strike.
Right after Donald Trump said he's running as on the ticket for the RNC.
Yeah, Counter-Strike is the name of that company, and they have ties to the Dominion voting machines as well.
And that's exactly what they did. It was a counter-strike against Donald. Basically, when Donald Trump said he's running for president, they pushed the button. They inserted that whatever they did that messed up all the computer systems.
Wow,
the biggest hack in world history. The biggest, whatever it is, was.
Diane, that looks really interesting. I might play that tomorrow stream.
The biggest event, computer related, on record ever.
Yeah, it impacted the most computers ever.
Yeah.
Were you surprised by it?
No.
I was not surprised by it because we were warned 4 years ago that it was going to happen by Klaus Schwab. So I've been expecting an event like that. So it didn't affect me whatsoever. So I know it did affect a lot of other people.
Yeah. CrowdStrike. I got it wrong. I said Counter-Strike. Sorry, guys. For some reason.
CrowdStrike.
Yeah, sorry. CrowdStrike, not Counter-Strike. I don't know why I thought that.
Anyway.
I used to play a game like 20 years ago on the computer called Counter-Strike. That's a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. Things are fast tracking now, guys. You can just see it. I mean, and folks used to laugh when we said that after April 8th eclipse that we would see things escalate. I can't help but to think that was really spot on, because it has been game time ever since, guys. And we actually have a show that's going to be coming up. I'm not sure when we're going to do it, but it is about the eclipses in relationship to the early 1800s.
Guys, since that last eclipse about 3 or 4 months ago, I reckon the violence around the world has gone through the roof. I reckon some sort of violent spirit was released through them eclipses, because the world's a lot worse.
100 eclipses.
And there's so many knife attacks.
And just to give you guys a little backstory on it, I'm not sure if you guys remember, but in the early 1800s, there was 2 eclipses just like that just happened in the last 7 years this century that formed an X over our country. I'm not sure if you guys remember that, but I feel like it is very significant.
We should do a show on that. I'd love to see it. Go over those kind of things.
I'm putting together some slides because I think it does. You mentioned it needs some visualizations. You guys remember that in April, the eclipse marked an X right over the country. It had done that once before. It had done that once before in the early 1800s. And it formed an X just like that. And the kicker is there was a comet in the sky the same time on both of these events. Now, the reason why I feel like this is significant is because later that year and early into the year afterwards, they had some of the strongest earthquakes ever recorded in our country's history. And the reason I say that is because one of those earthquakes rang the Liberty Bell. And the other night, Rachel was on the show and said she had a dream about the Liberty Bell. And for some reason, this has just sent me down a rabbit hole that I feel like is significant. And I'll leave it at that because I'm going to put together a presentation over because I think you guys will find it interesting.
Oh, guess what? So last year I posted on 12/13, you had the sign of Ophiuchus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the man holds the snake like this. So he's holding it like this. He's holding the snake. That sign this year falls on December 31st to January 1st. It's the same day.
So what do you mean by sign? So Ophiuchus holding Asclepius is a constellation?
It's a constellation. And that's when I can't remember the phrase, but anyways, I'll have to do a post on this. I'll do a post on it pretty soon. I'm pretty good at it. But this is according to what was that guy in Idaho that he was a pastor. I can't remember his name. Anyways, but he said this one was a very interesting one to watch, and this falls on the day of trumpets, according to Josephus. So Josephus said the first day of winter was their day of trumpets, and this is the first day of winter on the lunar calendar, and it's Ophiuchus holding the snake.
Well, Ophiuchus is a constellation. He's always holding the snake, so it would have to be planets or conjunction
that's where the moon, I believe it's the moon or the sun. The sun passes through.
Okay. Yeah, they go through his knee. They go through his leg or his neck, depending on the image that you look at.
The same time frame as it was last year. I've been wanting to look at this. I just looked it up. And it's like, holy moly, it's the same thing I saw last year. Same time.
And what date did you say that falls on?
According to, I think I have it over Israel, so it'd be 12/31. That'd be Day of Trumpets, according to Josephus.
Interesting. 12/31.
Do you know if there's any relationship between Trump and Charles?
They're both
great question.
Any public
great
appearances?
question.
Any
I have photos somewhere of him and Donald Trump and Charles together. But they're when Donald Trump was president, so there wouldn't be anything the last 4 years.
Gotcha.
Is it
Anyways,
true
I'll do a post on it here relatively soon. I just look up last year's, change the date that this event happens in the sky and what it means. So it means it means the righteous move from one end of the spectrum to the other, and that's the meaning of this sign.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Bondi Baby says, starting another rabbit hole. What if Elvis returns as one of the 2 witnesses? Okay. I get it, guys.
That's about as likely as JFK returning. I don't put a lot of stock in JFK returning. I'm kind of in the boat with Christian Widner, to where it's probably somebody who's alive today who has the spirit of Moses and the spirit of Elijah. 2 guys.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. My mind keeps going to this that eclipses again. I don't know why. Sometimes guys dig into it, because when we do this show on the eclipses from the early 1800s compared to the ones that happened this year and in 2017, it's worth looking into. There's a lot of similarities, and
I'll tell you, there's a lot of value to be gained from looking at the stars. Now, Brandon had a vision about the assassination attempt. He's not the only one who was claiming that there was going to be an assassination attempt. We discovered that there were a lot of astrologists, a lot of these people who do the whole zodiac thing, to where it's like, oh, today, because Jupiter and Venus are in alignment, you're going to, experience an increase in your love life or whatever. There were a lot of those people who have channels who were also saying that they were seeing in the stars that there was going to be an assassination attempt. Now, I'm not saying that like the pretended art that they push has value, but I do believe that the sun, moon, and stars mark sign, seasons, days, and years. And they spend so much time looking at these things that it's entirely possible that they got lucky and found out that maybe over the course of time I've thought about doing this, to where it's just like, look up the star alignments on the days that there was an assassination attempt. And if those same alignments happen on other assassination attempts, then it stands to reason that you could go, hey, we've seen this before. Here we have this sign in the heavens that indicates that there might be another assassination attempt. I actually want to go do that. I want to go look at what the alignment was on the 13th and go look at like the same assassination attempt that was on Reagan and JFK and all these other people. I'll bet you there's a pattern. And I have a feeling that the astrology channel picked up on that, and that's probably why they were saying it looks like there's going to be an assassination attempt. Because it was messing up my YouTube feed, because I looked at one or two of them and I'm like, oh, it's interesting. There was a bunch of people that were saying there was going to be an attempt on Trump's life. How did they know this? Because we know that their art, for the most part, is a pretended art, because they.
Well, that link you just posted, Vas, there's a lot of secret symbology in there, like the pizza. You know how they use pizza as code for kitty SA? They use that as a synonym.
Focus on yourself. They don't focus on God. A lot of them are atheists.
Yeah.
Do you know how many countries in Israel are sustainable related tech companies?
Sustainable related tech companies, like
yes.
What do you mean? What do you mean by?
They're pushing the 2030 agenda for a sustainable future. How many companies are pushing that agenda?
I'd imagine all of them that are. I imagine
over 750 in Israel.
Wow. That's interesting.
Well, that can't be all of them. There's got to be way more businesses.
It's ranked. Israel's ranked number 6 in the Global Clean Tech Innovation Index.
Well, I know they lead the world in technology and especially in agriculture. So I wonder what that implies.
I'll give
you that the ESG? Is that the ESG stuff?
Some of it's water based for plants, because they have a shortage of water in Israel. So locally where I live, there's an Israeli guy that works for a company or owns a company that they go around it and make sure each plant gets the exact amount of water it needs, and no more, no less. Right. So they have their technology from a computer from the inside of their truck. They know exactly how much each tree is getting in the orchard, for example. Mm-hmm. So it's not totally a bad thing what they're doing. It's actually they're saving water, but right. And they're also getting water out of the air is another technology. So they're very, very interesting that they lead. Yeah. I forget, it's called Water Chin Company, and they've already sided with King Charles to move ahead with the sustainable practices.
Okay. Is that the same ESG? Is that the same ESG stuff though, to where it's like, they're reducing their carbon footprint or whatever?
Yeah, it's a reducing carbon garbage.
Wow. Yeah, I just got sent something there is data now coming that Gavin Newsom and Hillary Clinton are going to be the running ticket.
Okay, well, we know how wrong that turned out.
That would be Newsom would be a nightmare to have running this country. He's destroyed California.
Well,
Absolutely.
Both of them would be. Right?
Newsom, Gruesome.
Newsom, gruesome. Newsom. Man, Trump is going to make fun of him so hard. I hope he runs.
I mean, how do you even debate on stage against Trump? Let's just say you are Newsom. He has destroyed California, destroyed it.
Yeah. They have apps on how to avoid the human feces on the street. I mean, like Elon Musk has even said Newsom, because he signed that pedophile plan where they can take your children for any reason whatsoever. He's like, Elon is completely moving out of California as a result of it. Like Newsom has nothing good to show for his time governing California.
He says right here, he's tallying up his assets and liabilities.
Newsom?
He's considering it.
Well, here's the thing: the Democrat ticket is they're desperate. They are desperate, and I know a lot of people are talking about division, but I feel like there's more unity right now than our country has had in the last 2 or 3 years. Not saying any time before that, but
between the debate and the assassination attempt, man, it has been waking people up in droves.
It has, and look at how many people are jumping ship off the Democratic ticket, and I mean from that party. I
never thought in a million years I would hear Zuckerbuck compliment Trump on anything. But he said that was the most badass thing after having just been shot, getting up and going, fight, fight, fight. He said he was inspired. And he said because of that, he's not going to do what he did at the last election. He says, and he knows, you all know what he's referring to with his election drop boxes and him pouring in millions upon millions of dollars to affect the election. So he's not going to do that this year. So it's just like in droves. Like, I don't know if there's anybody they could put on that ticket.
It wouldn't matter.
RFK might have a chance, but they don't want him because he's anti-establishment.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Everybody that was supportive, that was able to offer that financial support or logistical support or influencing support, because they had a lot of that. The mainstream media is even turning on the establishment. I mean,
what do you think they're going to?
And guys, let's not forget. Do you remember Trump said about a month or so ago, don't worry, it's all been taken care of. You won't have to vote after this election. You won't have to vote again. And that book, The Last President, he might be the last president. And we know he's a villain.
Throw at Trump next.
I think they're going to try and kill him again.
Yeah.
And here's news that's coming in. It says major Democratic lawmakers have begun calling out Donald Trump for his well-known relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh,
yeah.
Here we go. Yeah. Man, it's never going to end. They're always going to come up with something.
They can't pull that cat out of the bag. It attaches too many of them to that.
Good point.
Yeah, Bill Gates to it.
Yeah,
I think they're going to try. I think they're going to try some more ways to. And I don't think it's going to work. I think they're going to keep trying, but I don't think they're going to work.
So here's a question: If Joe Biden holds the ticket and he dies before the election, do you think people would still vote for Joe if he was dead?
Some of them would, yeah. But they're so delusional. That's some serious delusion there.
Yeah,
they've come out and said as much. They don't need him. They just need his corporeal form.
Yeah, and if you really ever want to get a good sense on how the country really feels about Joe, go read any one of his Twitter posts and just look in the comments. It is
it's hilarious.
It's
if you want to laugh.
It's seriously, I have 10,000 comments, and every one of them are really bad. Yeah, you have some positive, but they're bots.
The creativity of people blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I Newsom, I don't think he has the ability to run. You know, he's destroyed California. Everybody knows this. I don't think they have the trust anymore. It has changed things. There's so much lies and deceits. The amount of voter fraud that is coming out almost every day is over the top. And I think they know that they're losing grip. It would not surprise me to see something very extreme. And who knows what that is. I'm not going to speculate, but Alex Jones has had some pretty wild theories lately. He suspects that next they're going to use a suitcase nuke. And
it wouldn't surprise me. I bet you it doesn't go off though. I'll bet you they'll discover it or something like that. I mean, like they already found a couple of people outside the RNC convention. One of them turned out to be, I think, a homeless guy, but there was somebody out there with a weapon. So I'm expecting a lot more of that.
Oh yeah, I remember that. They found another guy that was trying to get into it that had an AK-47, and he was on the outside of the perimeter though. He never made it in. But man, this was fun. You guys got anything else?
It was blast. No, I don't see any more questions for Craig here. A lot of these stuff we already know. So, Craig, you don't believe any of the deals have been open, right? Somebody asked what's.
Actually, I'll do that James Caddis one and then I'll hang up, guys. This one's over. I'll do that James Caddis one. There it is. To this.
Right now, it is a time of war in Israel. Many of our family members. It may not be as bad as the story that we're talking about here, because the story that we're talking about here is, in essence, a sign-off on how to use AI in order to manipulate people specifically within the context of religious constructs. And this is a very important issue to be discussing, especially when we approach the world of the final Antichrist. I have been saying this a lot. I think Pope Francis will make a great false prophet. And this is crazy to say, but my goodness, the things that he is doing right now is all about the mission to globalize. It's all about the mission of the new world order that everybody seems to be talking about. And he wants to put his stamp of approval on a world that literally forsakes the true and living God. And it's an amazing thing to see happening. Now, AI in and of itself has already presented a series of problems, many of which surround the issue of morals and ethics. And a lot of people are using AI in ways that God never intended for any of that stuff to be used. God gave us intelligence for a reason, and a lot of the tools that are being used right now from within the AI world, some may be very positive, but many of them are really, really, really bad. And the things that people are doing are continuing to push the envelope in manipulating the minds and the hearts of people. I want to say this, full disclosure. If you're listening to me right now speaking in a different language other than the English language, you are hearing the effects of a lot of hard work on my part, but as well, a lot of hard work that involves some AI, okay? It can be used for very, very, very good reasons. But the reality of it is it's going to a darker and darker and darker place. And unfortunately, the things that are beginning to manifest, the things that are beginning to show up in the artificial intelligence world are, quite frankly, very scary if you don't know the Lord. Very scary if you're not walking with the Lord. But because we do know the Lord, because we are walking with the Lord, so much of what we're seeing falls within what the Bible predicts is going to happen. So let me read this to you. This is incredible. This is an article that starts off by saying this. By the way, I believe this is on MSN.com. As a matter of fact, I know it is. Look what it says. Pope Francis and the Vatican just created an AI Bible reshaping faith in the digital age. Sounds like a good title, but it's actually quite scary when you think about it. Let me read this to you. It says, in an unexpected development that continues to reverberate around the world, the Vatican has signaled its determination to be an influential voice in the rapidly advancing field of artificial intelligence. Now, if that's the only thing that I read, then I would say you could fill in the blanks. You could say the church is doing this. You could say that people who love God are doing this, and it might not necessarily be a bad thing to read. But when you start looking at the publication of this document and what they hope this document is going to end up doing, you realize very quickly that it is the on-ramp into what I call the New World Order. And it's so crazy to see this happening and being manifested the way we understand it to be. But folks, the world is getting darker and we shouldn't be surprised. The article goes on to say a new partnership has resulted in the publication of a handbook on ethics of AI developed under the direction of Pope Francis himself, marking a significant stride in the dialogue surrounding AI's potential impacts. The Pope's involvement in AI ethics comes as a consequence of a collaboration with Santa Clara University's Markula Center for Applied Ethics. Together, they have created the Institute of Technology, Ethics, and Culture, ITEC is the abbreviation for it, a body aiming to mediate ethical concerns and in the technological realm. Oh, sounds good so far, but wait, it's about to show its ugly face. The article goes on to say the first significant output of this organization is an enlightening publication titled Ethics in the Age of Disruptive Technologies, an Operational Roadmap. Again, sounds so crazy when you think about where it's going to go. Look at what the article goes on to say. The document outlines ethical guidelines for the tech industry as they navigate the tumultuous waters of AI, machine learning, encryption, tracking, and more. The intersection of the Vatican, an age-old institution representing spiritual values, and AI, a recent technological...
Well, they got the best intelligence with the Jesuits. They've got the best intelligence agency with the Jesuits, and they've been doing it for hundreds of years all over the planet.
Marvel might seem incongruous. However, Father Brendan McGuire, the pastor of St. Simon Parish in Los Altos and advisor to ITEC, explains that the Vatican's initiative marks the fulfillment of a long-standing interest within the Church. The Vatican's unique position and influence can muster essential figures to deliberate on these crucial matters. Now, all of that sounds like fluff, blah, 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 blah to me, until you get to this section of the article. Watch this. It says, in a recent interview, Father Brendan said, and here's the quote, "The Pope has always had a broad view of the world and of humanity, and he believes that technology is fundamentally a good thing. But as technology advances, we reach a juncture where we must address deeper philosophical questions." He continues to say this is his quote, "Technology executives from all over Silicon Valley have been coming to me for years and saying, you need to help us. There's a lot on the horizon and we aren't prepared. The notion was to leverage the Vatican's convening power to bring together executives from across the globe. In other words, what we're seeking to do is we are looking for a way to do what? We are looking forward to a way to usher in the world of globalism. And that is exactly what's going on. Folks, when you look at this document, this handbook of AI, so much of what it says in this handbook is related to the goal that the Pope has in wanting to bring in or usher in the world of universalism. And this is something that's really important to understand, because when you look at the world that is coming, the one of this Antichrist that we keep talking about, the one thing that you have to understand is this Antichrist that the Jews will mistakenly view as their actual Messiah is not going to be their Messiah. But in order to convince them that they are, or that he is their Messiah, there's going to have to be a lot of deception. And when you read Bible passages like Daniel chapter 11, verse 37, which of course is talking about the Antichrist, look what he says concerning this character. He says, neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. Now, a lot of people, when they read the phrase, nor the desire of women, it has nothing to do with the fact that he's going to be a homosexual. But what it is talking about is the fact that he will be a secularist. He will be the type of person that does not believe in God. He's not a religious man. He literally chooses to deny everything that is God, so much so that when the devil possesses him and brings him to the place where he chooses to sit in the temple and demands to be worshipped, he himself will choose to become God. He will, in essence, replace the true and living God in his own mind. That's what the spirit of Antichrist means. That's what word Antichrist means. Antichrist means instead of. So he is going to pretend to be something that he is not. He's going to pretend to be the Messiah. And when he sets himself up to do so, he's not going to make a convincing case unless he has somebody that helps him to make that convincing case. And that is where we get into the book of Revelation chapter 13. This is so important. Let me read a portion of this. I'll actually start from the very beginning of Revelation 13. And this is verse 1. It says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wandered after the beast." So we're talking about the Antichrist here. And this Antichrist is going to receive a deadly wound to his head. This is not Trump getting his ear shot. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that right now. And when this wound literally strikes him and he's supposed to die, people are going to be blown away when he actually survives, and he lives like it's no big deal. And look what it goes on to say in verse 4. It says, "And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome."
Are you actually a removalist?
Odd question. Are you a real homeowner? Huh? Prove it. How much did you get for this place?
There's easier ways to know sold prices. Find them on domain.
Come on, lads.
Ooh, mommy. Now that's a skewer. Get more with Australian mushrooms.
Experience
Oh,
5-star
come
Vietnam
on.
on sale from $2,799 per person, including flight.
Overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life, or the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. By the way, can I just simply say this? I want to make myself very clear. If you tell me right now that you believe in everything that I'm saying, but you're going to wait until the tribulation, until you repent and you get right with God, and you're not going to bow down and worship the beast, I'm telling you this right now. Everybody is going to be doing it whose names are not written in the Lamb book of life. As a matter of fact, the Bible tells us in Revelation 14 that there will be an angel that will yell at the top of his lungs saying, "Do not do this, or you're going to go to hell." And it's going to be permanent, and people are still going to do it. People want to do it. They're going to want to do it. Look what it says in verse 9. This is important. It says, "If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints." By the way, I highly recommend that you go through the passage that I teach on Revelation 13, where I talk about this at length. It's a powerful Bible study. As a matter of fact, I do one here on this YouTube channel, and I also do a full-length study through this on the Calvary Chapel Signal Hill YouTube channel, where I go through all of the book of Revelation. I teach it all, something like 50 studies, and they're very good, and hopefully they are going to be insightful and encouraging to you as you learn what's going on. But look what it goes on to say. This is heavy. "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon, and he exerciseth all power of the first before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed." This is talking about this false prophet, who in essence is going to be also very powerful, and he's going to manipulate all types of things and technologies and all kinds of things in order to gain the acceptance and to hypnotically bring people into worshiping this Antichrist, who's a God hater, who's in essence a people hater, and the only thing that he loves is himself. Look what it goes on to say about this false prophet. This is pretty heavy. Watch this. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. So he is in essence going to be the religious leaders that brings, or the religious leader that brings religious followers into believing the fact that this Antichrist is actually Christ himself, is the Messiah. He's going to do it by all these signs and wonders, and I'm guessing he's probably using a lot of AI at this point, which is why this story about the Vatican and AI should not surprise you, and it certainly doesn't surprise me. Look what it goes on to say. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast shall both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. In other words, he's not only going to convince people to worship the beast, to worship the Antichrist, he's going to create an infrastructure using a whole conglomerate of tools that will be the tool by which, or will be the symbol by which people will gather around to worship. I think AI may very well be a part of this. I think, and folks, I'm going to
Okay, guys, I'm going to bail out. Good night. God bless.
just tell you this right now. I think there's going to be so many aspects of this that are going to be overwhelming that most people won't even know it hit them when it comes their way. And then, of course, we know what the